Hey everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins. This is my good buddy Brendan, and welcome to our YouTube channel. If you're finding this for the very first time, or you are a returning viewer and have not yet done so, please click that like and subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when we put up new content right here on this channel. So we're back doing our NFL weekly recap show for this week. And of course, since we're still just starting out the preseason here, it's not going to be a very long video most likely. We're going to recap some of the games that went on for week 1 of the preseason. Then we're going to preview week 2 and get into a little bit of news or whatever that might have come up throughout the week here. But like I said, there's not a whole lot going on right now in the NFL until the regular season starts up. But we are going to just try to give out a show here for the next few weeks until the regular season starts. So bear with us until the normal games begin, and then we'll have a lot more to talk about. But for now, let's get into what happened this week. Before we get into the games, I wanted to discuss with Brandon a little bit here the fact that since me and him are both Indianapolis Colts fans, a couple things that happened with the Colts this week, what I thought was kind of relevant to discuss here. Indianapolis Colts head coach Frank Reich and Chris Ballard both signed 6-year contract extensions with the team. So they're going to be with the team, I think, all the way through 2027, I believe. So in my personal opinion, I want to get your thoughts on it too here. But I think that's well-deserved. I think Chris Ballard especially has done a great job with draft who he's been selecting and all that stuff. Just what he's been doing with roster moves and things like that in general. And for Frank Reich, I believe he's been coach for 2 or 3 seasons now. And
yeah, like I was a huge fan of Tony Dungy, and Frank Reich was like, when he came on, I was just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because we've had some coaches that's not been so good since Tony Dungy. Yeah, so I mean, understandably so.
I was just like, yeah, whatever. We'll see. Maybe he'll stick around for a season, and we'll go to someone else. But I was pleasantly surprised, I guess would be the word. By him, his performance, some of the decisions. Though I didn't agree with a lot of them sometimes, but
yeah, there's been a couple times in game time situations where maybe he didn't kick the field goal instead of going for it or something like that, being a little too aggressive when you maybe could play smart, things like that. I get that. But I think in the 3 seasons or so he's been there, I think we've had like 10 or 11 plus wins each year, so that's good.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I'm glad they did, extend he did extend his contract. So I mean, we'll just see where we go, going forward from here. But I believe I agree with you 100% on the other one,
Chris Ballard.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm hopeful. Like I told you before, where I stand as far as my hopes for this season. But I think we're heading in the right direction. So
that's a good segue, I should say, because the other bit of news from the Indianapolis Colts I wanted to discuss was, because I know you've talked about how you're like, all right, Carson Wentz, and then all of a sudden he gets hurt. Quentin Nelson, he gets hurt. And, now you're kind of like, all right, I'm not sure how I feel about this season. You want to start good, but right now it looks kind of bleak. But late last week and even earlier this week now, they're saying it looks to be, according to, I believe it was Chris Mortensen of who does all the scoops and stuff, said that they believe that Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson are both tracking to play week 1 now. They were both at practice, no boots, no crutches. They were walking around without limps. So that's good news. Now, whether or not they play is another story. We'll have to wait and see. But
that's the thing, though. As much as I say that, I don't want this to be a rush thing. And I told you this when we were talking about it.
Yeah.
It worked. I don't want this to be a thing that's like, oh, yeah, get my hopes up, but this whole thing is rushed, and then it gets worse. You know what I mean? But if they're on track to play and everything's good, cool. Like I said, I'm hopeful we start off decently this year, and just to give me some fucking hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. I mean,
that's all I'm looking for. This year, don't get me wrong. I hope we can win the whole damn thing, but
that's always the hope. But yeah,
I will be happy with a good start to the season. And good games. We've had some close calls last year that there was 2 or 3 games that we should have won, and we lost on BS. field goal kicks that should have been mateable and weren't.
Or like I said earlier, there's been a couple times where Frank Reich's like, all right, we're going to go for the win. We ain't going for the tie type situations. But had you gone for those ties, you could have
the tie.
Yeah, you could have maybe gone to overtime. Things like that. I get being aggressive, and I appreciate that, because sometimes it's better than being too conservative. But that was one thing I thought Tony Dungy sometimes did a little too much, was maybe a little too conservative. But at times, being aggressive isn't always necessary either with Frank Reich's case. So
no, you check your surroundings.
Yeah, exactly. Read
the room, so to speak.
One of these days, though, being aggressive like that will pay off. It's just sometimes you got to be selective about when you try it. And you got to know if you can actually be aggressive in this situation and go for it. If they've been kicking your ass thus far, and they can stop you, be more conservative. Take the easy route and then go from there. Yeah. But if they can't stop your running game and you're on the goal line, go for it on fourth down. It just depends.
Don't throw it on the goal line.
Yeah,
you have somebody
Seattle
run the ball in.
Now I say this, and Seattle's our week 1 opponent, so
Come on, that was the dumbest. I'm like, dude,
I know
I was so mad watching that Super Bowl.
Oh my god!
Because I'm like, you have Marshawn.
Yeah,
they could not stop him the whole game. You're right there. This is your moment.
You got Brady and the Patriots on the ropes. Yeah.
Yes, this is you winning the Super Bowl, and you fucking throw it, and then it gets intercepted. I was like,
and I get hindsight's 20/20 and all that sort of stuff, and maybe they thought, okay, everybody thinks we're going to run it with Marshawn, so we're going to throw the quick slant, but did not pay off. No. So I get both sides of it, but
everybody thinks you're going to run it with Marshawn. No, why?
Because it's the right call.
They know you can.
Yeah.
That defense knew you could, and there was nothing they could do about it.
Mm-hmm. Hey, he just here so he don't get fined, though, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'm so mad.
Oh, man. Believe me, that was one of the more heartbreaking watching. It's always heartbreaking for me to watch Tom Brady to get another Super Bowl ring. But, that's just because, he is my favorite person in the league to hate. It's kind of like watching an Avengers movie. I want to root against the bad guy, right? Brady is my bad guy in the NFL. And when he leaves, I don't know who I'll hate against at that point. Probably still Bill Belichick and the Patriots at that point. But right now, it's kind of both. But yeah, I'll get my chance to root against Brady when he comes to Indianapolis later this year. I believe it was November, so that'll be fun to watch. But yeah, on the same lines of the Colts, though, I guess we could get into some of the Week 1 games here. We could start out with the Indianapolis Colts themselves, since we're already on that topic. The Indianapolis Colts win 21-18 against the Carolina Panthers this weekend. It was basically, the Panthers got out to a couple touchdown lead earlier on, and then the Colts rallied a little bit in the second half and ended up being led on a game-winning drive by third-string quarterback Sam Ehlinger, who ran the final drive to set up the final field goal for the win. So good drive by Sam Ehlinger here, for sure. I thought he looked really good toward the end of the game. But Jacob Eason played the first half, got some reps with some of the starters, but let's be honest here. Hardly nobody on the starting lineup for the Indianapolis Colts played in this game. But one thing that was glaringly noticeable that needs to be corrected before Week 1 starts is the left side of that offensive line. Quentin Nelson, like we've talked about, is injured, so that's part of it. Then, of course, the retirement of Anthony Costanzo. So I don't even know who they're going to have at the starting position on that side yet for his position. But if Eric Fisher, the Pro Bowl, left tackle or whatever it was of the Kansas City Chiefs, gets healthy, he'll be on that end with Quentin Nelson. So that'll be a dominant side of the line if they get those two guys going. But until then, that side of the line, it looked weak, and Sam Ehlinger and Jacob Eason both were kind of running around for their lives a little bit off that edge. So that's going to be a concern. But for now, it's just preseason. I'm not trying to get too concerned just yet, but it was noticeable kind of early on, especially when Eason was in there with some of the starters. Now, T.Y. Hilton didn't play. Jonathan Taylor didn't play. Nelson, I believe Ryan Kelly probably didn't even play. Michael Pittman, Jack Doyle, none of those guys played, so it's kind of hard to get a gauge on Eason yet anyway. But I felt that he was actually really accurate when he had time to throw. So that looks good, even if Wentz don't play for a few weeks. So that's encouraging. You get the full lineup out there. Maybe he'll even look better. And Ellinger looked good toward the end of the game, like I said. He had his moments where they both made some mistakes. I believe even Eason fumbled it at one point. It got picked up for a recover by the Panthers, I think. Yeah, I mean, both made mistakes, but they're both young quarterbacks. It's going to happen, too. It's not going to happen overnight. These two kids are one of them's a rookie, the other one's basically a rookie because he didn't play at all last year. So, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I was encouraged by what I saw. Did you get a chance to see any of this game, or I don't think you did you?
No, I did not.
He was busy this weekend with family and stuff. But so yeah, I mean, I'm not too concerned yet. I thought they looked okay, all things considered. And of course, again, since all these games are in preseason, it's hard to gauge every team because they're playing against backups as well. No one's playing.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, there may be a little bit of time in the preseason games where some starters are playing on each side, but it's not going to be full strength, and teams are not going to show you their full hands anyway. So
nope.
You got to take these games for what you will. That's why a lot of people don't watch preseason. So understandably so.
I mean, I like to watch preseason, when I can. But yeah, I mean, it really holds no weight, but it's good to see somewhat like of who could fill in for who. So you get a sense of what they can do, if need be. So, you're not so like, okay, well, he's out. So now his backup's coming in. So you don't know how they're played. So like preseason is good for that much of it. But
yeah, well, I mean, the good thing about this week of preseason, though, which is something that doesn't always happen, there was not really any major injuries of note for any team that I could tell. So that's a plus.
Hey, that's a good start, right?
All the way around for the entire league. I mean, there were a few injuries, I think, but that wasn't to any like big names that I think that were major starters for any team. I think there was a backup Baltimore Ravens quarterback. I think is not going to play the rest of the preseason. So that may be one of those deals. But there was TJ Carey for the Colts. I think he's a quarter or safety. He went down. He kind of was chasing a receiver down as he's running toward the end zone for Carolina, and when he did, he kind of pulled up. Wasn't contacted. His left or his right knee looked like he kind of had a cramp or something. But he went down. He was kind of talking to the doctors about his knee, but they said he walked off on his own power. So hopefully it's nothing major there for the Colts. But there was a few things like that, but nothing like Julio Jones or Derrick Henry or Ezekiel Elliott. None of those guys got any serious injuries, which I don't even think Zeke played. Neither did those other two guys I just mentioned. But you know what I'm saying? Like no superstars got hurt this week, so that's a good plus. But let's get into some of these scores here. Then I'll kind of let you know a couple things I noticed from a couple of these games. But for the most part, I didn't get to watch all these games either because preseason is one of those deals where it's like, all right, there's a bunch of games Friday, there's a bunch of games Saturday, and sometimes you don't get to watch them all because they all kind of happen simultaneously. The NFL season when it comes out is a little easier because there's a game Thursday, a lot of games Sunday, but then I've got NFL Red Zone, so I can see a lot of them at the same time. So that helps. So it'll help me keep track of
look at you.
Hey, you're always welcome to come watch, man. Or whatever, something like that. Yeah, but when there's like so many different, and there was a few games that weren't even available in my market due to the fact, restrictions or whatever it is. I don't know how the hell that works, but anyway, we'll go through these scores and I'll talk about a few of them. The first one being the game I did watch on Thursday night partially was the Washington football team versus the New England Patriots. The Patriots win here 22-13. Cam Newton did start this game.
He did.
And he had a few of his starting running backs and things like that out there. I got to tell you, this New England Patriots team, nothing against them, but outside of Cam Newton and a couple of the running backs, I don't know anybody on this team. They're a bunch of no-name.
Did they do a complete rebuild?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, even last year was kind of that way. And Cam obviously didn't play very well last year. Now, I thought he looked okay at times in this game early on. He didn't play very long. But I'll say this, his backup or possible eventual replacement, Mac Jones, who the New England Patriots drafted this year, he played a lot in the first half, and he looked pretty accurate and solid. I'm not going to lie. He looked pretty good. So if nothing else, New England may have their quarterback in the future already. I got a feeling just the way he looked in this game, that does not mean anything. But maybe in the first 5 weeks, if Cam isn't cutting it, we may see Mac Jones replace Cam Newton here, but that's just my opinion. And again, it's based on 1 week of preseason. Nothing to back that up. That's just me speculating. But it's also a possibility. So, yeah, the Patriots win this game. Other than that, I really didn't see. There was a good play early on. I think it was Taylor Heineke, the backup for the Washington football team, connected on a nice pass to McLaurin, what's his name? The big time receiver for the Washington team. I can't remember. I want to say Ralph McLaurin, but it ain't Ralph McLaurin. I can't remember his name. But yeah, scored McLaurin. He got a good pass here for sure. But yeah, I'll get his first name figured out before the regular season. We're still in preseason mode here on the podcast as well. But yeah, with fantasy football coming up, I got to get all studied up, so we'll get ready to go. Also on, I believe it was Thursday, was the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Pittsburgh wins 24-16. Saw a little bit of Najee Harris. Kind of looked like he did against the Cowboys in the Hall of Fame game. A little carry here and there, some good carries, but nothing like, breakaway or anything like that. Other than that, I really didn't see a whole lot in this game that was really worth noting. So yeah, there was that, but the Steelers get a win here. Then we had, I think these games here were on Friday. The Tennessee Titans defeated the Atlanta Falcons 23-3. Not a whole lot to see here either. Just kind of, bunch of backups really. I didn't really recall a whole lot of starters going on here. Same with the Buffalo Bills versus the Detroit Lions. The Bills win 16-15. Then we had the Cowboys losing to the Arizona Cardinals 19-16. Then we had a game I do want to talk about a little bit was the Chicago Bears win over the Miami Dolphins 20-13. The Chicago Bears rookie Justin Fields looked really good. Which is, I'm sure Chicago fans are dying to have a quarterback that actually can deliver the ball and play really well. This kid had some wheels too. He was making plays with his legs. I'm not going to lie. I thought this kid looks like something the Bears could really invest in. So yeah, I was hoping to talk to our buddy Chris Grow at work and some of the other Bears fans to see what they thought of this. But
you talked to Rocky?
I did not. I meant to. I'll have to talk to him tomorrow, see what he says. There's a couple other guys there who are in our fantasy league and stuff like that who definitely are Chicago Bears fans. So I'd like to get their thoughts on this. But yeah, I believe he had two touchdowns and over 150 some yards or something like that. Good completion percentage. The throws I saw him making were very accurate and very on target. So who's to say the Bears did not get the best quarterback in the draft? Right now, it looks like it. But again, Week 1 of preseason. We'll see where it goes. But I was happy to see that for the Chicago fans for sure, because they've had some problems for a lot of time. I mean they passed up on Patrick Mahomes, so I always give our buddies not credit, but a little bit of flack for that. Like, really, you guys passed up Mahomes, and hopefully Justin Fields will end up being something here. The NFL preseason continued this weekend with the Denver Broncos defeated the Minnesota Vikings 33-6. This was a blowout. But I thought, I don't know who all was playing in this game. I didn't see all the, who the starters were. But from what I could tell, the Broncos offense looked very efficient. So that's new. I don't know if Drew Lock played. I don't think he did. But if he did, there was some good touchdown throws and stuff that I saw in the highlights, but I didn't quite catch it, like I said, who caught them or anything. But definitely good to see that out of the Broncos for sure. The Baltimore Ravens defeated the New Orleans Saints 17-14. As I mentioned, there was a quarterback, I believe, who played in this game who won't be playing the rest of the season. I believe the Saints also gave, according to our friend Chris at work, who was a Saints fan, said that they split the reps between Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston, I believe, in this game. They're trying to probably figure out what they're doing there after the retirement of Drew Brees. So that's an interesting development to keep an eye on. I'm sure it'll be one of those two guys, or they may just kind of rotate them in and out. They kind of did that when Drew was hurt a season or so ago, so that could very well happen as well. We had the Cleveland Browns defeating the Jacksonville Jaguars 23-13. I got to admit, Trevor Lawrence did not look like the number 1 overall pick here. His very first snap, he got sacked. Now, again, that's not his fault necessarily. That's the offensive line. But if that's going to be an issue going forward, maybe his offensive line ain't going to be good enough for Trevor Lawrence. But again, it's week 1 of the preseason. I'm sure he'll get things figured out, that sort of thing. But personally, since I'm a Colts fan, I don't want Trevor Lawrence to be good, division rival and whatnot. I definitely wanted him to kind of suck, but we'll see what they do. But I just thought first impressions, he wasn't, knocking my socks off, so to speak. He was just kind of there. But rookie, he's bound to have growing pains like on any of them are. He's not at Clemson no more. We're not in Kansas City more, Toto. So that sort of thing. Then we got the Cincinnati Bengals. No Joe Burrow. They did not play him after he's coming off an ACL injury. But they do get the win here, 19-14 over the Super Bowl champ Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, they're not playing Tom Brady or anything like that. So take for that what you will. We had the battle for New York. The New York Jets, in a boring game, beat the New York Giants 12-7. Yeah, again, no Saquon Barkley. I don't know if Zach Wilson played in this game or not, the draft pick for the Jets, but I didn't really quite notice. Then we had the Houston Texans defeat the Green Bay Packers 26-7. Yes, the Texans won here, but here's the thing. I don't think Houston's going anywhere this year. I don't know about you.
No.
From the sounds of things, Deshaun Watson's never playing again in the NFL.
No.
So I don't know who was playing quarterback or anything in this game. But the one thing I did notice about this game that I thought was worth mentioning, Jordan Love, the Packers' backup QB that they drafted with the time, they didn't know if he was going to be the starter or not with Aaron Rodgers' situation. But Jordan Love looked pretty efficient here. He only had 4 or 5 incomplete passes, so he had a good completion percentage. I don't think he scored or anything like that, but he was at least accurate on his throws. So maybe there's something there, but it seems like Aaron Rodgers is probably going to come back this season, so I don't think it's such a big concern for the Packers anymore. For the Texans, though, yeah, I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league, in my opinion. But watch me be dead wrong after they blow out the Packers here. We had the Kansas City Chiefs defeat the San Francisco 49ers 19-16. The one thing I wanted to talk about with the 49ers here, Trey Lance, the draft pick for the 49ers, did not have a very good completion percentage. I think he was 5 of 14 on pass attempts, but he did have an 80-yard touchdown bomb that did go the distance, so that looked good. But the completion percentage definitely does not look good. So I don't know where you, as a 49ers fan, if you like that or if you're a little disappointed in that. Big play, but if all you can do is complete 5 passes out of 14, that's not good either. So it's interesting to see how that'll develop. But again, just preseason, and we'll see what happens. We have the Oakland Raiders defeat the Seattle Seahawks 20-7. I don't believe Russell Wilson or anybody played in that game either. I keep wanting to call them the San Diego Chargers, but it's not. The Los Angeles Chargers defeated the Los Angeles Rams 13-6. No Herbert, no Eckler, nobody in this game. So again, and that's pretty much all the games for this weekend. As we mentioned, the Colts game already. It was on Sunday, the only game that played that day. So yeah, just not a whole lot to take away. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's just kind of week 2 of the preseason, technically, if you want to count the Hall of Fame game and stuff. So not a whole lot to talk about. And it's probably going to – I'm hoping maybe next week or week 3. I don't know exactly which week now, since we're only going to have 3 full weeks of preseason, which week the starters are going to play the most in it. A lot of teams are saying they're not going to play starters at all. So it may be boring for the next couple of weeks here on this show. I apologize for that. But we thought we'd get it kicked off, kind of get into a bit of a rhythm before the main season starts. But to run down next week's games, let's go ahead and get into that. On Thursday, there's only one game this week. The New England Patriots are the Thursday Warriors here. They're going to be playing the Philadelphia Eagles at 7:30. Then on Friday, have 2 games. We got the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Washington Football Team, and the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Arizona Cardinals. And then Saturday is where most of these games are played. The Buffalo Bills versus the Chicago Bears, the New York Jets versus the Green Bay Packers, the Atlanta Falcons versus the Miami Dolphins, the Baltimore Ravens versus the Carolina Panthers, the Detroit Lions versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Tennessee Titans versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Houston Texans versus the Dallas Cowboys, so Battle of Texas there. The Indianapolis Colts will face the Minnesota Vikings, Oakland. I called them Oakland while ago, didn't I? Las Vegas Raiders versus the LA Rams, the Denver Broncos versus the Seattle Seahawks, and then on Sunday we got 2 games. New York Giants versus the Cleveland Browns. And then the Sunday night game, which is a primetime game, will be the San Francisco 49ers versus the Los Angeles Chargers in primetime. And then we have a Monday nighter this week. The Jacksonville Jaguars versus the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football to round out week 2 of the preseason. So, any thoughts on these at all, or just kind of, it's preseason, let's get to the regular season games already? Is that kind of how you feel?
It's like a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was having this conversation with a couple guys on Facebook. It's like, I know our wrestling fun facts and trivia guru, Mike, has always talked about how he hates preseason football. Well, which of course, I mean, to a lot of fans, it doesn't mean a whole lot. But I do kind of like to watch some of these, younger players fight for roster positions. That's what it's mostly for. I made an analogy earlier about, we were talking about pro wrestling a little bit. And he was like, so basically it's kind of like watching jobber matches or curtain jerkers in pro wrestling. I was like, well, kind of. It's kind of one of those things too. It's like, if they like you, they'll re-sign you. If not, they'll cut you and they'll get signed by another team. Kind of like going to AEW. So I thought that was kind of funny.
brother.
But so yeah, but a little wrestling humor there for you. But yeah, so I mean, looking forward to these games, obviously. But it's again until the regular season starts, it's just going to be one of those deals. Anything you want to mention about the Fantasy Football League before we get going here on this week's episode?
Yeah, I'm not coming in last. I got a side bet with.
We always. I think we're going to start talking the fantasy league toward the end of the episodes. That way, if y'all don't want to check out, listen to our fantasy rants, we'll just save them to the end.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of the news,
yeah,
cut earlier.
So I got a side bet going on with Larry G. So I can't come in last. As long as I don't come in last.
Well, okay. Wait. What's the side bet? I got to know this. What's going on?
So he goes, because I was being a smartass, and I goes, you know what? This is my year. I'm winning the whole thing. He goes, I'll tell you what. He said, I'll bet you, I'll give you 10-1 odds. All right.
Okay.
If I come in any other position other than dead last, he gives me $10.
Okay.
But if I lose, if I come in last,
well, you didn't even do that last year, so
I know.
So you owe him 10 if you come in last.
Oh no, I owe him $1.
$1. Okay. So, but man, he's giving you the good deal on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, the chances of you walking away with $10 are pretty good.
This is pretty good.
Unless you just flat out stoink.
Hey, look, let's not talk about that.
We're not going there, right? I mean,
we know what happened last time.
I'm not going to lie. I don't know if Chris Grow will listen to this or not, but I'm pulling for the kid this year. I mean,
yeah, man.
He's had some bum luck in our league.
I hope Chris gets one this year.
Chris is a guy who has played for many years in our league. All of our players have played at least more than once in our league. So I believe it's probably more like 2 or 3 seasons probably for everybody in the league this year. So they know the league. They know what we're doing. Of course, we're changing this year. We're doing a half-point PPR. Well, we did half-point PPR last year. The half-point PPR fab budget, $200 for the league to spend on free agents on the waiver wire, and of course, then we're also converting to a keeper league this year, which will roll over into next season. So, highly involved, money involved as well. Winner plays for $200, a right to hold our championship belt, which I could probably show here on the channel once we get it back after the draft. I could probably let you guys see it if you guys want to. Maybe put up a picture of it. And the winner holds that belt for a year until the following year's draft, and then, of course, they get a championship T-shirt. Number 1 seed gets $50. Then, of course, we play for a playoff raffle, which is basically at the end of the year, you, based on where you finish in the league, get to choose a real team in real life, and if that team wins the Super Bowl during the playoff stretch, they win $50. And then this year we're adding a pro pick'em league to where we all play for, whoever can pick the most games right throughout the entire season, they'll get $50 for that as well. That one comes out of my own personal money. That does not come out of the fantasy league fees. So that one's going to be something I'm just contributing for fun, trying to get everybody else to play that as well. I even invited Nate. I don't know if you knew that. I ended up inviting him to play in that, which he thought
pick him.
Yeah. So since I told him it has nothing to do with the league fees, so he doesn't have to worry about that. So he can just take my money. So I'm sure he's fine with that. But so he may join that too. But yeah, we'll probably do a lot more talks about this for sure. Talk about our games coming up, maybe who's winning those leagues, things like that. Just flat out trash talk, all that sort of stuff. So hopefully you guys on the channel here will get a little bit of joy out of that, hopefully. And we'll hopefully have some other people throughout the league maybe this season get on, talk some football, also maybe to talk about the league a little bit. So if you're listening to this and you're in our fantasy league, guys, if you got Skype, definitely let us know. We'll get you on the channel, and we'll work all that details out as we roll on here throughout the season. So any other thoughts this week before we move on? Nope, we're all good. All right, well, if that's the case, we'll move on here, and hope everybody enjoyed week 1 of the preseason. Hope you guys will enjoy week 2 of the preseason as we come back next week, and I'll try to watch a few more games, even though I'll be camping with family this weekend, so I don't know how many more of these I'll be able to watch, but I'll definitely keep up on it and let you guys know next week what we think about them. So until then, let us know what you guys think about this show, and of course what you guys think about the NFL preseason so far. Was there anything in the preseason games that you guys noticed, or is there things that you're looking forward to seeing in week 2? Comment down below, let us know, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when we put up new content right here on this channel. And until our next week's show, guys, take care.
Goodbye.
Yeah, ready to go, man, lock and load. That's right. I swear to God that I could drop you, bro. Yeah. I got a shot and I ain't stopping, no. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable.